Welcome, everyone, to the Resiliency class. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Esmeralda, and I'm here to share a very special class with you. If you have ever felt sad or alone, like nothing matters, maybe you don't feel any hope for the future, then this class is for you, my friend. Like many of you, I have also gone through some very difficult times in life. There was a time where I experienced several deaths of loved ones in my family that truly just broke my heart. I've also experienced betrayal by, a good friend, um, rejection from somebody that I cared deeply about. And all of these, life situations led me to feel very depressed. My mood was very low for a very long time. But thankfully, I received excellent training from experts at UCLA when I worked at a mental health research center there for about 10 years. And I learned some great tools and practices that are principles that come from cognitive behavioral therapy, or better known as CBT. I learned different techniques on how you can feel better and be more resilient. And so I also had the opportunity to teach many of these classes in both English and Spanish throughout the communities in Los Angeles County. And so, based on those experiences, I decided to share the information that I know with all of you in hopes that it will help you to feel better if you are, going through a difficult time in your life right now. I want you to know that there is hope and you can feel better. Even if it's one small step at a time, you can start to improve your mood. So I'm really glad that you are taking the time to review my content. Please check out my channel. There are going to be videos in both English and Spanish so you can share with your friends and loved ones who might also benefit from this information. So this class is going to consist of six main topics, as I'm showing you here on the screen. Um, Today's first session is going to be all about what affects your mood and resilience. And so I'm going to have a video for each of these sessions. And then at the end, I will do a summary of all the previous topics that I'm going to cover. And we will get to celebrate with a graduation. So for any of you that completes all seven of these sessions, please let me know in the comments or DM me, and I would love to send you a personalized certificate of completion. So please do let me know. Again, I'm so glad that you're here. But first off, I do want to emphasize that this is not therapy, you guys. I am not a licensed therapist. I'm just a resiliency teacher who has lived experience with depression and low mood. And so if you feel that you need professional help, I want to please encourage you to speak to your doctor. Let someone know how you're feeling. I'll share other additional resources later in the class, but I just want everyone here to be safe. So I just wanted to give that disclaimer, and please make sure that if you are feeling any kind of way as we're talking through these different topics, just please make sure that you seek further help if you feel that you need it. Okay? So, in today's session, we are starting a journey together. I'm so excited. This is going to be a journey to build your resilience and help you improve your mood. So, let's dive right in. Like I said, this session is going to be what affects your mood and resilience. And I'll be showing you some slides with images, and these images come directly from the resiliency class manual, which is an accompaniment to this course. And you can access that manual by clicking on the course description below. The link is going to take you to my website where you can download the PDFs for free. So please take advantage of those resources. I will have a link for you for each of these seven videos. So the first thing I want to share with you is that, we all go through difficult times in life. And so you may be wondering, what is resilience? We talk about a lot about resilience and resiliency, but sometimes we don't actually know what it means. So I wanted to go ahead and define it here for you. So resilience is the ability to recover quickly from illness, a disruptive change, or misfortune without being overwhelmed or acting in negative or harmful ways. So if you think of your mood like you're climbing a mountain, right? You can see this mountain here. Some days you feel like you're at the peak, right? At the top, you're feeling happy, energetic, you're ready to take on anything. You're just like a solid 10. I feel awesome. But other days, you might feel like you're stuck at the bottom of that mountain, right? You might just, your mood might be just down in the dumps, feeling really, really bad, you know, completely down a zero. And it just feels so difficult to climb out of that bottom of the mountain. But here's the thing. This is completely normal. We all have good days, right? We all have those days where we just feel great. And then the very next day, we might just feel horrible and we might have a bad day. And nearly every human at some point in their lifetime has felt down. So if today you're feeling low, like you're at that bottom of that mountain, it's okay. Just recognize that that is where your mood is at today and know that you're taking the first step to start climbing that mountain and to improve your mood. So, one thing that I want to encourage you to do is to keep track of what your mood is every day. When you wake up in the morning, or even when you're getting ready to go to bed at night, just find a little notebook where you can keep track of your mood. There's also a page in the manual that has a table like the one that I'm showing here, where you can just write down what your mood was, throughout the day. And this is going to really help you to start noticing some patterns in the way that you think and how your mood fluctuates from one day to the next. So like I said, just write down what your mood is today. Keep track of it over the next several weeks as we go through the course. And don't worry if your mood is at a 2 right now. You might be at a 0. You might be starting from scratch, but just know that it's going to get better. I promise it's going to get better as you learn some of the information that I'm going to be sharing with you and some of the tools and techniques. So it is normal to feel sad when, difficult things happen to you in life. Like I mentioned, losing a loved one. This is what happened to me several years ago, where it was just so hard to overcome those feelings of grief. The kind where you just want to crawl into bed and just not be bothered, not come out of your miserable feelings. Or maybe you're in a different situation where maybe you got into a really strong argument with your friend or a loved one. Maybe you're going through a divorce or you recently lost your job. Maybe you're just experiencing some really difficult financial stress. We know the economy is really tough right now, around the world. So, when your mood is low, you may experience some of these symptoms that I'm going to show on the screen. And as I read through some of these symptoms, I want you to notice if you can relate to any of them. But when your mood is low, you may experience several symptoms. And as I read through some of these symptoms, I want you to notice if you can relate to any of them. Sometimes you can experience a loss of interest or pleasure in activities that you normally would have enjoyed. You may feel down or irritable, tired or fatigued, worthless or guilty. At times, you may eat a lot, causing weight gain, or it could be the opposite. You may have a poor appetite, or you start to lose weight unexpectedly. Having a low mood might cause you to sleep too much or too little. You may have, trouble staying asleep, what we call insomnia. It could also cause you to be restless, where you find yourself moving around a lot, or the opposite, where you're feeling really sluggish, moving slowly. You may have trouble concentrating and making important decisions. You could also, having a low mood could lead you to having repeated thoughts of death or suicide. And if you are feeling this way, like I said, you guys, I'm not a therapist, so if you are feeling this way, please call the National Suicide and Crisis Hotline in your country. In the USA where I live, that phone number is 988. And I will share the link to their website down below in the description if you want to get more information on how you can receive support. So, although it's okay to feel sad at times when difficult things happen to us, that's completely normal for us to feel that way. Depression is when that low mood or those sad feelings last for many weeks, sometimes months, or even years, and it makes it really hard for you to carry out your daily duties and to be able to enjoy your life, get along with others. So, having a low mood can keep you from being resilient in life. And that is why I want to share this information with you so that you can work on improving your mood and overcoming, this depression that might be affecting you, that you might be dealing with right now. But what if I told you that you have more power over your mood than you might think? And it all starts with understanding this simple truth. Your thoughts and your mood are connected. Every day we have thousands of thoughts that pass through our mind, right? Some thoughts are just facts like today is Monday or gee, I'm feeling hungry. These are basic thoughts. But there are other types of thoughts that can either lift you up or bring you down. As you can see in this image, there are thoughts that are harmful to us, and there are others that are helpful. And so we want to make sure that we are focusing on those thoughts that are going to help us climb out of this depression, help us to just improve on ourselves and just be happy moving forward. So I want to start by showing you an example here. If you see this photo, you can see that it's raining outside, right? And there's one person who sees the rain and immediately thinks, oh, great, my whole day's ruined because of the rain, right? He's angry, he grabs the newspaper and covers his head and thinks, my day is just completely ruined because of this dumb rain. However, you can see another person here finds themselves in the same situation and they see the rain outside and they think, oh man, this is like the perfect weather to stay cozy inside with a book. Or maybe like this character, they love the rain and so they actually want to go out into the rain, jumping in the puddles, right? But the point here is that it's the exact same situation. It's raining outside, but these two people have completely different moods, different thoughts, different, outlooks on what's happening. And why? It's because of their thinking patterns, right? The way that they're thinking about this situation. And so you and I, or you and someone in your family or at work could be going through the exact same situation, but the way that we are each thinking about that situation is going to determine how we feel. It's going to dictate our mood for that day and whether it's going to be a good day or a bad day. So, the amazing news is that you can learn to notice these thoughts and you can choose which ones serve you better. When you catch yourself thinking about something harmful, like, man, I am never going to be a good mom or a good dad, or I'm never going to be able to work in my dream job. I'm stuck in this job that I don't like, you can actually start to challenge those thoughts and ask yourself, is this really true? Am I seeing the whole picture here? Is this thought going to help me or is it harming me? And so our thinking patterns, these harmful thoughts that often, come up, these are coming from our past, right? The way that we were maybe raised or taught, our beliefs. But the good news is that we can work towards having more helpful thoughts in our present and in our future going forward. So we can't keep focusing on the past and on the things that, already happened. We can start to choose how we think now and moving forward. So one way that we can start to deal with our low mood is using a tool that we call Worry Time or my Worry Time plan. And it sounds a little bit silly, but just follow along with me because it's actually a really practical tool that you can use. Because what happens when you are, facing a depression or a low mood is, like I said, you kind of feel stuck in a rut and you could easily spend hours or the entire day just focused on your grief or what, your worries, your frustrations, your anger. It could literally be all consuming and just take over your entire day. But instead of letting those negative and harmful thoughts consume you, you could actually set aside just, anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes to focus on your worries, right? It's like you're giving your brain permission to worry for a little while, and then you move on to something positive, something that's actually going to be helpful and useful for you. So what I used to do when I would find myself just, enveloped in my grief is I would choose a day of the week, and I would set my timer for like 15 minutes during that day, and I would set an alarm for myself so that I knew when my 15 minutes was up. And I would just intentionally bring out, family photos of my loved ones that, were no longer with us. I would listen to the music that reminded me of them. Growing up, my family, we used to listen to a lot of just like mariachi and just beautiful old music that my grandma and others, we would listen to together. So I would bring that music up on the stereo, and I would just allow myself to cry and be in my feelings during those 15 minutes. But once the alarm would go off, I'd pull myself together, wipe away the tears, put the photos away, turn off the music, and then, I would move on to another activity that I had already planned out for that day. So I'm telling you, it works. It sounds so simple, but it really is that simple. There are just things in our lives that are simply out of our control, like death. You know, we do not have control over our lives. Death is something that is going to happen to every single one of us. Obviously, some of us, it happens sooner than later. Some are very tragic and unexpected. Some are, part of just the natural way of life. But regardless, it can be very difficult. So, using a simple tool like this allows you to spend time on your worries, and it allows you to acknowledge your emotions and your feelings, because it is important to acknowledge that and not just ignore it. Don't just bury it down and pretend like it's not happening, because that can actually be worse, because then you're letting it build up and just fester there and go unaddressed. And that's when, more serious consequences can come from that. So this is a tool that, you can allow yourself for just a limited amount of time to worry about that thing that's on your mind, and then you can move on to something that is, more positive, more helpful. We want to stay focused on those things in our lives, you guys, that we do have control over, right? We have to try to work on the things that are going to help us improve our mood and our situation. And it has to be based on the things that we can control. And one of those things is starting with our thoughts and the way that we use our time and the things that we think about. So in the class manual, there's a copy of this table that you can see here, where you can circle, how much time you want to dedicate during the day or at night, and how much time you're going to spend worrying. And then just make sure you have something planned right after. Maybe tell a friend like, hey, call me in 15 minutes, or maybe you already have a movie that you're gonna get ready to watch, or you're gonna go out to the grocery store, or maybe walk your dog around the block, something that you already know you have to do so that it kind of breaks you out of that mood that you're in. Because the truth is that life is just too short, and we can't spend hours and hours and days, weeks, months, years sometimes just focusing on a problem that might not have a solution. It's just something that you absolutely have no control over, or maybe the solution is really hard to achieve. So let's not allow those things to just rob us of precious time that we can't make up. Once that time is gone, it's gone. And so let's live for today. Let's, give our worries just a little bit of time commitment, and then, move on to the next thing that's going to help us in our lives. So one thing that, is so important for me to just share with you guys is to please remember that you already have incredible strengths. When you're going through depression or a very low mood, you can sometimes be really hard on yourself. You might just focus on those harmful thoughts that lower your self-esteem. You may be telling yourself really hurtful words because maybe you experienced a failure, maybe you did something that you deeply regret. So as we end today's class, like I want you to shift your thoughts and focus on what your strengths are. And so I have here an example of, different strengths that people have. Read through them and try to just circle or write down some of your strengths. Maybe you're a really compassionate person. Maybe you are just a really hard worker and you provide for your family. Maybe you're really smart at solving problems. Whatever your strengths are, these are the foundation for you to start building your resilience. It's really important that you think about your strengths and you write down what they are so you can reflect back on them and just remind yourself of like, wow, I do possess, positive things about me. And before the next session, I want you to please commit to writing down at least one strength, so that you can just look at that throughout the week and just keep reminding yourself, I am smart, or I am strong. I have a deep faith. I'm a good singer. Whatever that strength is, like, please write it down. Hopefully, this list gives you just a couple of other ideas. And I want you to take pride in your strengths. Acknowledge that this is who you are, this is what you know, and just remember that you are good enough just the way you are. Um, you know, Again, depression can be one of those things that really causes you to only focus on the negative, but I want us to finish today with the positive and make sure that you are recognizing all of your strengths. Before the next session, I also want you to try tracking your mood every day. So I showed you this table earlier, the mood scale, where from 0 being, really low mood, up to 10 being a really high mood. I want you to keep track every day of your mood and just try to notice when your mood goes up and when it goes down. Start to pay attention to, you know, is there a certain day of the week that my mood is low? Why? What happens on those days? Pay attention to some of the thoughts that you're having when your mood is really low, because that's going to, again, help you to start to see maybe some patterns. And we're going to be talking a lot about, patterns to our harmful thoughts in the third session. But you might be surprised by what you discover when you actually start to pay attention to your mood and your thoughts throughout the week. So you can click on the description below. You'll be able to download, like I said, the resiliency class manual. It'll have today's session, and you can use it to print out and practice some of the homework assignments. But please remember that you have more strength than you realize. You've made it this far, and you'll make it so much farther, I promise. You can learn to use your thoughts to climb up that mountain and break free of that low mood. Um, at the end of every session, I do provide a slide that has all of the key messages for the class. So again, today, we talked about how having a low mood keeps you from being resilient in life. Thoughts are those things that we say to ourselves. Your thoughts affect how you feel. You can use your thoughts to manage your mood and improve your resilience. You can set aside some time to worry and then move on with the rest of your day. And then you have so many strengths. So please review the material. And if you found today's session helpful, please like this video, subscribe to the channel so that you can get updates on new videos that I post. I'll be posting a video every week. And if you know someone that would also benefit from this information, please share it with them. Knowledge is power, and it's so important that we, take control of our thoughts and our minds to really help us be resilient in life. So I appreciate you being here today. I look forward to having you join session number 2, where we'll be discussing how pleasant activities can help improve your mood and make you resilient. So until next time, please take care and have a beautiful day.